Hey y'all, today is August 1st, 2019. I'm here with Courtney Hilligus from Castlegate Realty, and I'm Aggie the broker. Today we're going to talk about something that a lot of folks wonder about, and that is who pays a buyer's agent and how do they get paid. So it's important to note that the answer to that question has changed over time.
So in the past, the agents were only working for the seller and they were getting paid by the seller. There was no buyer agency. And if you fast forward, after the 1990s, there were agents working for the sellers only and agents working for the buyers only. And back then, the seller was still paying both the buyer agent and the selling agent, but it was normally a 50-50 split, normally. So it was being evenly split between buyer agent and seller agent. And now that's changed a lot.
It has. So today, I want to say that when you begin to work with a buyer's agent, and that's an agent who's devoted to the buyer only, they don't have a fiduciary duty to the seller. Their goal is to help the buyer find the house, negotiate the lowest price, get what the buyer wants, help them through negotiations and all of that. So a buyer's agent is really a good thing to have if you're a buyer looking to buy a house. But today there's some options. And it gets negotiated in the beginning when you start the relationship with the agent and they ask you to sign a buyer agency contract. In the state of Pennsylvania, on the consumer notice, it will tell you if you don't have a contract signed of some sort, that agent is not working for you. They're not looking out for your best interest. So again, as a buyer, you want to have a buyer's agent and you want to sign a buyer agency contract. Now, today, buyer agents can get paid a couple of different ways. One, some agents ask for a fee due at signing. Again, that's to be negotiated. Some are paid only by the seller. Some agents will say, buyer, you don't have to pay me anything. Whatever the seller is sharing of their commission for the buyer agent, I will take that and I will be fine with that. And then some are paid supplemented by the buyer or paid solely by the buyer. I think very few are paid solely by the buyer, unless like you want to go to for sale by owner and you want your agent to represent you and negotiate for you, then the buyer would just be totally responsible for paying the buyer agency fee. So sometimes there's a lot of things, because even in that scenario, the buyer agent can put the offer in to the for sale by owner and asking the seller to pay the buyer agency fee. So sometimes there's a buyer agency fee, but it can be paid by the seller.
All things are negotiated.
All things are negotiated.
Yep.
That's right. So one of the lines in the contract says that currently, normally sellers are paying some buyer agency commission, but if the buyer feels that they're worth a certain amount, because they know that they work hard, there's a line that they won't take less than a certain percentage or less than a certain dollar amount. So that whatever the seller pays, if the seller pays most of that, which they usually do, the buyer's only responsible for paying the difference. Sometimes that's like 0.5% of the sale price. So we're not talking tons and tons of money. But make sure when you're talking with a buyer agent, go over your questions. And we want to talk that there's some benefits and some risks of how and if you pay a buyer's agent. One of the risks that I want to address today, and I wish I didn't have to, but we're gonna, there's a risk if you're not paying your buyer's agent. And that risk, again, shouldn't be, but this is the world we live in. If you're not paying your buyer's agent, if you have anything less than an ethical agent who is all about doing what's best for you, they may tend to, I can't use the word steer, they may tend to encourage you more for houses that are paying a higher commission from the seller than houses where the seller's not offering as high of a commission. I would hope that no agent ever does this, but sadly, it's come to my attention that there may be some that do. So that's a risk. Again, it's not a lot of money difference if you're paying that supplement 0.5% or so to whatever is negotiated. But if you do that, then you're not wondering or worried that the agent might be doing that. So there's a benefit to paying a buyer agent fee that you don't have to worry about that. So
we hope that never happens.
We really hope that never happens. So we want to encourage you. Oh, and then there's the future.
The future, what we're expecting in the future at least, is that sellers will pay only their agent, their listing agent, and buyers will be paid only by the buyer. It's something that is expected. It's not happening yet, but we're definitely expecting it to happen.
Yeah, there's a few things in the works, even like a major lawsuit, national lawsuit against some of the companies, saying that sellers shouldn't have to pay a buyer's agent because the buyer's agent isn't working for them, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So if that happens, then the buyer will be paying their agent the full commission that they've negotiated with them.
Oh, that's what we wanted to touch on. And even if you are paying your buyer agent, it doesn't mean it necessarily needs to be cash out of your pocket. It can be rolled into what's called seller's assist, where you negotiate that the seller helps you pay closing costs. So the seller could still pay your agent, even though your agent gets paid. So
if you have more questions on it, call us.
And you're gonna. So please call us. Or if you're with an agent already, talk to that agent. Be clear on this and your options. Mm-hmm. But yeah, happy house hunting. Oh, commercials. We have commercials. Ask a Realtor Show. Check us in on Thursdays. And remember, we offer reduced commissions for first responders, all first responders, pastors, and
veterans
on active duty. Okay. Thank you.